I love Mob Psycho 100. It's the first show I've done a YouTube video on, and it's a series that my appreciation grows for the more I revisit it. And a big reason why I hold this show so highly was Season 2, which is one of my favorite seasons of TV ever. The first season was very good, but wasn't anything amazing in my opinion. But Season 2 manages to take everything the previous season has done well and improve upon it to make for a truly amazing season, and I really want to talk about the episode that for me cemented how incredible this show is, which is the Season 2 premiere titled Ripped Apart, Someone is Watching. The first half of this episode feels a lot like a typical Season 1 episode, with the subplots of Reagan and Mob taking care of an evil spirit, and Mob running for school president. But I still think these parts work really well due to how consistently the comedy lands and how much I enjoy the characters. It's also really cool to see how it utilizes elements previously introduced in the story, like the Psycho Helmet Cult, which indirectly leads to the most important storyline of the episode. I also like the show setting up some other details that will have greater relevance in later episodes, such as Reagan giving Mob broccoli seeds, which will eventually grow into the massive piece of broccoli in the season finale. And from here I noticed the show does a great job at setting up smaller details that end up having much more significance later on, something that shows how much the writing has improved. And although all this stuff is great, I feel it's in the second half of this episode where it really shines. It does so much with such a short amount of time, and it shows how much this show has improved in both the efficiency and complexity of its storytelling. I really enjoyed the chemistry with Mob and Eri, and it made for some really nice moments between them. But not long after this, we get a reveal that Eri only decided to ask Mob out because of a bet she made with her friends. I feel this could have felt like a really cliche reveal, but it ended up being pretty impactful, not only because of the chemistry between Mob and Eri, but how it affects Mob as a person. Eri feels that she doesn't really know what he wants, asking if he even has any feelings at all. But as harsh as she is, there was truth to her words. Mob is a very kind-hearted person, but also he has a lot of trouble expressing his emotions. He tries to hold back his emotions to prevent his powers from going out of control, but doing so is causing him to have trouble forming relationships with others, as by holding back his emotions, it can make him seem emotionally distant to others. This scene shows that regardless of how much of a kind person Mob is, he needs to work on improving himself and considering what he wants if he's to form genuine bonds with other people. It's such an important moment for Mob's character arc, and you can see how this affects him as a person not only in this one episode but throughout the entire season. And the scene that follows this is one of my favorite scenes of the show. We see Eri get made fun of by her classmates for the story she wrote, showing how despite them supposing to be close, they don't really seem to care about what Eri cares about, choosing to tear up the draft. And Eri pretends not to care much about it in order to not be left out. But then Mob intervenes and chooses to start picking up the pieces of the draft. We see Mob show genuine appreciation for her work, and even after the things she said, he still chooses to help her. It's an incredibly heartwarming moment that shows Mob at his most genuine. And this act clearly has an effect on Eri, as we see her choose to join Mob in picking up the pieces rather than joining her classmates who made fun of her. And eventually they collect the pieces into a pile, only for them to be blown away by the wind. Eri pretends that she doesn't care, saying it's not a big deal, but without hesitation, Mob uses his powers to retrieve the pieces and put the draft back together. Mob having powers clearly surprises Eri, but rather than caring too much about this, she just seemed happy that Mob cared this much about her. It really encapsulates one of Mob's most important beliefs, how just because he was born with incredible powers, that doesn't make him special or define who he is as a person. So despite Mob using powers to retrieve Eri's draft, it was his expression of genuine kindness towards Eri that really mattered here. Despite Eri having so little screen time, they managed to build up her relationship with Mob in a really believable way that didn't feel rushed at all. It's very impressive storytelling and just made the climax of this episode so much more powerful. Despite being the first episode of Season 2, the amount of ground this episode covers is incredible, not only having great comedy and setup for the anime to come, but believably developing Mob's relationship to a character we've never seen to the point that nearly made me cry. It was such a beautiful episode that puts on display what makes this show amazing. That besides the comedic moments and cool fights, it conveys such human struggles and themes that I could really resonate with, and imagine many other people do. And that's why I feel this one episode encapsulates Mob Psycho 100 perfectly. Whether you agreed or disagreed with me in this video, please let me know what you thought in the comments below. Also, I'm planning on making more Mob Psycho videos in the future, among other things, so subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching.